He has no remorse. He slept like a baby last night. Toombs County Sheriff Charles Durst. Violent Vice contains graphic and explicit content which may not be suitable for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, guys, and welcome to Violent Vice. My name is Audi Griffith.
And I'm John John.
Hello. If you guys could do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, leave us a review, and give us 5 stars. We'd really, really appreciate it. And it would be a great, great belated Christmas present.
I love Christmas presents.
I do too. And Josh and I got pretty good ones. We got Crocs and socks this year.
I might be wearing them now.
Me too. So they make good slippers.
They do. Very much.
Yeah. So, speaking of Christmas and everything, we
Uh-oh.
are covering today the Santa Claus Georgia murders.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So, are you guys excited? Because I am and I'm not because they're pretty god awful. So, but it makes for a really good episode.
Okay, I just started to get onto the Christmas bandwagon. Is this going to make it not?
It's gonna be very sad,
Oh
but
no.
the town itself is pretty cool. And the family in question before stuff happened was really cool. There's a lot of cool things about it. It's just sad.
Okay. Well, let's hear about it.
So let's cater to those post Christmas blues and get into it. All right. So the majority of this comes from Murderpedia. I love using Murderpedia. It's a great website. And this
You're you're definitely on a list.
I know I really am, but at least it's 2020 and we can't really travel.
That's fair. It's very fair.
Yeah. So Santa Claus, Georgia, just kind of going into it, is a very themed town. They have a North Pole sign near the post office. A lot of the roads are named after Christmas characters, and it's only a village of 300 residents, and it's located about 70 miles west of Georgia. And of course, it's named Santa Claus. So it's a pretty cool town.
So it's not in Georgia?
It is. It's just
Oh,
70
west of.
miles west of Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, Savannah. Okay.
I might have forgotten to say Savannah.
Still,
Yeah.
North Pole in Georgia doesn't. I might use an old robot phrase at this point, but does not compute.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Jen, you know how small our town was of like 2,600 people. This is only about 300, so it's about the size of Trigo.
Yeah, and they had a good restaurant, a canoe place, a couple gas stations.
Yep. And that was about it.
Yeah, a couple hit or miss stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So, I'm gonna just kind of just dig right into it. I'm gonna read a little bit from this article because it does a really good job describing the town. High above the gravel road, where migrant workers planted Vidalia sweet onions in rows of plowed furrows on Dasher Street, lived the Daniels family. The one-story red brick house, with a huge oblong chimney protruding from the front, was nestled snugly at the end of a cul-de-sac about a half-mile of lonely road from US 1 in the town of Santa Claus. The village of 300 residents, located some 70 miles west of Savannah, Georgia, was named after Father Christmas. A sign at the edge of town hailed Santa Claus as the city that loves children, which, in all honesty, is a little creepy.
Yeah, I don't think that's something you want to just advertise in this day and age.
No.
Any adult who says they love children has like a creepy undertone to the understanding.
Yeah. 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 Anyway, 7 children lived in a picture postcard house, including 3 foster children that the Danielses were planning to adopt. Danny, a rural mailman working out of Lyons, met attractive Kim Lamp some 7 years ago. Despite the fact that she had been a drug addict living out of her car, he helped her fight off the addiction and they were married. They liked it there in Santa Claus and were highly religious and well liked throughout the community. Kim Daniels, 33, who became a foster child after seeing her father slain, lost her own children to the state custody while she was a teenager. She lived in her little car, deep into drugs and alcohol, until she met Danny Daniels, 47 at the time, about 6 years ago. Married to the gentle letter carrier, she fought off her problems, got her children back, and devoted her life to church and to the children. In her own words, others who needed love. So she kind of just turned her life around, was very religious, like, fostering several kids, adopted a couple, like, we're really just there to, like, fix issues she had as a kid and make sure others didn't suffer the same. So just a really good couple.
Sort of like paying it forward after she got paid for it herself.
Yeah, very, very much so.
Hmm, sounds nice.
Yeah. So on Wednesday, she and Danny celebrated their 5th wedding anniversary in a comfortable brick house at the foot of Dasher Road, there with their 7 children. Danny's adopted daughter, Jessica, 16, Kim's 3 children, Amber, 12, and 8-year-old twins, Brooke and Bryant, and then 3 foster children, Amanda, 9, Corey, 4, and Gabriel, 10 months. So a lot of children there.
Sounds like a packed house.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say their names one more time just so you know who's who. Jessica is 16, Amber is 12, 8-year-old twins Brooke and Bryant, and then 3 foster children, Amanda 9, Corey 4, and Gabriel 10 months.
Hmm. A lot of
So,
preteen energy going on there.
yeah, very packed household. I mean, really ranging in ages.
Oh yeah.
Their house was wedged between 2 catfish ponds and backdropped by tall pine trees and tangling grapevines. Neighbors would regularly come to fish and pick grapes there as well. But these things helped quell the reverberating booms of the shotgun blast from neighbors on Rudolph Way, Dancer Street, and as far away as Slay Street. It happened after midnight on Thursday, December 3rd of 1997. Around 4 o'clock in the morning, a farmer and his wife were awakened when their dog wouldn't stop barking. They looked out their window and saw 3 children walking down the road in their nightgowns. They called police, who arrived within minutes at their Carter Pond House Road. The 3 tykes, ages 8 to 10, were shivering and abandoned on the side of rural Bacon County Road, some 45 miles from their home on Dasher Street, and they were all in shock but coherent. They said that they had been taken from their Santa Claus home earlier that morning. The oldest girl had been raped and sodomized. So, really, really rough. The frightened children told police where they lived, and 2 deputies were dispatched to the ranch style house, arriving shortly before dawn. The morning stillness was made even more eerie by the incessant insect sounds and by the occasional car passing on Highway 1, making the deputies feel even more uneasy when they called into the house and no one answered. The door was ajar, and yet no creature was stirring in or around the house. It was pitch black inside. After several fruitless attempts to arouse somebody, the deputies thought they had better go inside and investigate. They switched on the lights, using their flashlights so not to disturb the scene and to not disturb any fingerprints. They cautiously went from room to room, guns at the ready. When they reached the master bedrooms, the deputies reeled back in horror at the atrocity that lay before them. 43-year-old Danny Daniels lay sprawled beside his 33-year-old wife. They were drenched in blood. The heavy caliber murder weapon had done its work with a shattering effect. Down the hall, officers found Jessica Daniels, a 16-year-old adopted daughter of Danny from a previous marriage. In life, she was quite beautiful, but in death, her appearance was pretty grotesque. Still in her nightgown, she was stretched out extensively on a blood-stained carpet, an apparent shot at close range. In the electric atmosphere of the adjoining room, the policeman found poor 8-year-old Bryant, a natural son of Daniel from a previous marriage. He had been sleeping with his teddy bear in his bedroom when someone shot his face. After gaining their composure, deputies carefully checked the victims for the faintest signs of life. They found none, and making sure that the perpetrator was not on premises, the deputies searched the house to make sure there were no more bodies. But there were. Huddled in a closet, trembling like abandoned puppies, they found Corey, age 4, Gabe, 10 months, both of their foster children. Taking the children with them, the deputies cautiously retraced their steps outside the house, not wishing to disturb any of the crime scene evidence. The police were extremely shocked about what had happened in their normally peaceful Santa Claus town. Nothing of this magnitude had ever occurred before, but because all the pandemonium and hysteria that would follow, authorities knew it would be a while before they could unsort this melee. It was a wild, chaotic night for police, who discovered that the killer gained entrance through an open window in the rear of the house. After killing casually in a way that would defy comprehension, he left without taking any of the Daniels' worldly possessions with him, nor had the tidy house been ransacked. During Saturday morning, police learned from the surviving children that they were awakened by bursts of fire before being taken as hostages. He drove them out into the boonies, where he raped the oldest girl, then drove them 45 miles away and turned them loose on Bacon County Road. The children described their kidnapper's car as a black van with tinted windows. All points bulletin flashed across the airlines with the precaution that the suspect was to be considered armed and dangerous. As the investigators would soon learn, the marriage seemed placid and ordinary enough, and the Daniels were socially popular. Nothing much happened in their lives until the intruder crept in their house and murdered them for no apparent reason. Toombs County Sheriff Charles Durst was located and notified of the carnage at the Daniels house. In a switch of a hurry, he commanded the area sealed off from all unauthorized personnel and recognized this as an official crime scene. Homicide officers arrived abruptly, accompanied by a medical examiner, a crime scene technician, and a deputy district attorney. Each of the victims, the coroner observed, had been shot in the head execution style and could not have been a threat to the intruder. Danny Daniels appeared to have been shot in the back of the head, probably never knew what hit him. Tissue, blood, and bone and brain matter had been dispersed throughout the room as a result of the force of the powerful shotgun. His younger wife had been shot in the face, resulting in severe disfigurement. It would also appear that she had been awakened by the first blast that killed her husband and might have seen who had killed her. Little Bryant, who had also been shot point blank, was still asleep, clinging to his teddy bear, so he did not awake. The female victim in the hallway had obviously been running from her attacker. There was a lot of blood in the bedrooms that authorities couldn't help but wonder why there weren't more bloody footprints. They also found several 1100 Remington shotgun shells laying on the floor in each bedroom where the murders occurred. The cartridges laying on the beds besides Daniel and Kim had tissue fragments adhering to them. After the scene was carefully photographed in both color and black and white, then videotaped, crime lab technicians collected blood and bodily fluid samples, which they cautiously marked according to the source and location. Next, they vacuumed for trace evidence of hair and clothing fiber, using divided filter bags for each location, and searched for identifiable latent foot fingerprints. When the criminalists were finished with the bodies in the crime scene, more drivers placed the corpses inside body bags and removed them one at a time to a waiting morgue wagon. A small gathering of disbelieving neighbors looked on from beyond yellow tape barriers, the frightful-looking body haulers left for the morgue where a definitive post-mortems would be performed. While sheriffs, investigators, and crime lab technicians searched for clues and collected evidence at the crime scene over the next few hours, the sheriff and several Toombs County deputies questioned neighbors in search of the killer's identity. Unknown to them, the 3 children had already provided that information that ultimately broke the case wide open. Whereas the identification of the killer had been made in a relatively easy manner, Toombs County prosecutor Rick Malone told a hastily gathering group of reporters that authorities were still investigating the girls' accounts and released very few details. He said they weren't positive what triggered the vicious midnight attack against the family. We do not think it was a random attack. We know that he did know them, said Malone. It seems he was a friend of the family, or at least knew them, which in this small town was not hard to do, as they were very popular and outgoing in their community. Suddenly, the little community named by an entrepreneur to attack tourism was on the map. The little town, known for its Christmas season decorations and community-wide display of luminaries, suddenly came alive with out-of-town curiosity seekers. Everything pointed to the inconceivable. A man named Jerry Heidler had entered the house and started shooting at the random for no apparent reason. Maybe something else had happened. Only the suspect knew at that point what the something else was. Theories and speculation abounded from the once happy and sane Georgia city, now unbelievably stunned by a shocking mass murder. It was almost too much to believe. Things that just didn't fit into the normality of a tranquil town called Santa Claus. Most of the notorious crimes occurred closer to Savannah, nearly 70 miles away, or Charleston on the coast. It was a frightening thought, but maybe one person had the primary target and the others were assassinated because they were potential witnesses. But if this were true, why didn't the killer get rid of the 3 children he let go? Surely he must have known that they could identify him. Several theories were taken into consideration by lawmen, as it happens in every case, and each auspicious idea was pursued to its limits. During the first critical hours of the manhunt for Jerry Scott Heidler shifted into full gear with uniformed patrolmen and plainclothesmen fretting out across Bacon County, where he was last pinpointed, clear to Alma, where his family lived. As far as the murder cases were concerned, the hunt for Jerry Heidler was not very exciting. Georgia Bureau of Investigation agents Jerry Rose and Bill Butler were dispatched to Alma, where Heidler had roots. Behind the house was a street where the van sat, the GBI spokesman Blackhead said. Jerry Heidler was walking out in front of the door as the policeman car pulled into the front of the house. They made eye contact and Heidler turned and ran back inside the house. Agent Rose and Butler radioed for backup, then they ran to the back of the house to prevent a possible escape. At that point, Jerry Heidler's brother came out and told officers he was the one that went into the house. Bacon County Sheriff detectives answering the backup call arrived and initiated a search of the house. They found Heidler huddled on the crawl space beneath the home. When Heidler refused to come out, 2 officers with drawn guns crawled and dragged him out. Like, literally dragged the guy out. Like, he just refused to go. It was, yeah, very, very, like, think toddler not wanting to leave the store. That is basically what happened here.
Oh, okay.
They arrested him with an outstanding warrant of probation violation. Heidler's brother was arrested again for obstructing justice and lodged without bail in Bacon County Jail along with his brother, since, he told the officers that he was the one that came out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
On Tuesday, December 9th of 1997, the funeral services for the slain family were held at First United Methodist Church of Leon's after the bodies were released for burial by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Crime Lab in Atlanta. Danny Daniels, the mailman who taught Sunday school at Mount Vernon Pentecostal Church, lay in a brightly varnished wooden casket at the far left of the church, surrounded by flowers. To his right, his wife, Kim, lay in a white casket adorned with white and pink carnations. The third casket held Jessica. Her playmates and school friends passed by solemnly, each in turn placed a kissed red rose on her casket. The teeniest casket at the far end held the body of Bryant. From pulpit, the Reverend Ray Wood, who was the Daniels pastor at Mount Vernon, described Bryant as an energetic child whose aim in life was to drive the church bus. So he wanted to be a bus driver.
You're right. This is making me sad.
I'm really sorry, guys. But the family invited Heidler into the church, and he had lived with them in their home briefly in the past few months. Wood told the massive congregation that filed into the church to say goodbye to the slaughtered family. He didn't have to steal a van. If he had been in need, the price of the phone call Brother Danny and Sister Kim would have driven to Alma to get him. That's the kind of people that they were. So if I didn't make this clear, Heidler stole the family van.
Oh, like he got into the house, killed them, stole their van, took the kids, dropped them off.
Yeah, like abandoned the kids out in the woods after he raped the one.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Rev Wood told the teary-eyed and sobbing congregates, "We'll never again hear Sister Kim say and play the piano or her family singing in the chorus." Where the killer was concerned, "You may hate his deed, but you better love his soul." They were scattered shouts of amen from the congregation. So, like, hate what he did, but, try to forgive him, I guess.
But like it was scattered, so there were some that agreed and some that didn't.
Yep.
Mm.
The 5 children curiously left behind by the killer were in the front pews, protected from the media by police and bodyguards. 20 pallbearers took up the remaining seats behind him. Homicide detectives continued to probe the background of the lives of the killer and his victims, trying to determine if some personal motive existed. One streak broke through in the dark clouds surrounding the case. It wasn't much of a lead at the onset. A detective chief in charge of the investigation revealed a motive that appeared to be moderately different from the nascent reconstruction of the crime, which had been on a very informative, very finite information from the surviving victims since they were all children. Now, a relative leaked to detectives that Jessica had broke off a brief romantic affair she was having with Heidler, and that may have triggered the nightmare. Although many in Santa Claus didn't believe the growing speculation and increasing wildness of the rumors, it would explain everything. It wouldn't be the first time a spurned lover vented his anger on the entire family. They had a boyfriend-girlfriend affair, said Sheriff Durst. He refused to elaborate any further. Many of the mourners had come directly to the church from Heidler's first court appearance before Toombs County Magistrate Ezra Aaron, who asked the snugly handcuffed suspect if he was understood the charges of multiple murders, kidnapping, and burglary. In all the horror-struck courtroom, Heidler kept his eyes downcast as he answered in sullen, dull, monotone, "Yes, sir, no, sirs." When Heidler said he didn't understand what could happen to him, the judge, without lifting his face from the papers before him, said you could be executed. A statement recalled by the GBI agents who interrogated Heidler was a chilling one. Without flinching one iota, Heidler had told them, "I killed them all." One agent, Lee Sweat, said Heidler was not especially emotional about his confession, nor did he show any signs of remorse. He was quiet, Sweet said. He was responsive from the very beginning. He told me that he killed the Daniels family. While Heidler's attorneys were feverishly trying to get his confession thrown out of the evidence, developing information had gleaned from the surviving children who sat in their nightgowns untangling the web of mystery for the Bacon County sheriffs. Otherwise, the whole horrible story might have been lost in the darkness of history. The children said that they were awakened by ear-splitting gunshots. The man who had dated their sister, Jessica, entered the bedroom and took them with them in a van, saying a burglar broke in and your parents told me to get you out. So the children followed. He took them far away from home and they were crying. He put them on a deserted, dark road and they were frightened. The girls did not know at the time the extreme grossness of the case. They had no idea a portion of their lives was gone forever. Heidler's stories as it related to the GBI agents was that he used a step ladder in the garden to hoist himself into the bathroom window, entered the Daniels home. He shot Bryant first, unloaded the shotgun, then Jessica as she ran towards him, apparently while running to alert her parents. He then shot Kim and Danny in quick succession. Special Agent Dean McNiss said that it seemed like a dream to Heidler when he wanted him and Agent Sweat to get into his dream with him. So he was kind of out of it, I guess, when he was retelling it, is what I got from that.
So sort of like in like a weird rage where everything was real but not real.
Yeah.
Oh.
Heidler's accounts of December 3rd and 4th were that he attended the funeral of a stillborn baby he had fathered. That night, he walked to the home of a friend where they played pool and watched the men playing dominoes. He had 2 beers and then walked to his mother's home where he was staying without paying. When people in the home began talking about the stillborn baby, Heidler said he ran out of the house, swiped a friend's van, and then US drove the US 1 to Santa Claus. After entering the Daniels home, he took a semi-automatic shotgun from a gun cabinet in Kim and Danny's bedroom, then went looking for Jessica, whom he wanted to kill because she jilted him. He remembered continuously pulling the trigger. He even recalled having to reload and how the kick of the shotgun hurt his shoulder with a clamorous thwack of a blast that even hurt his ears. He said he shot Bryant in a trance like dream and was awakened out of it when Jessica called out his name. After the shootings, he ushered the 3 kids out of the house into the stolen van. Continuing with his story, Heidler told the officers that he remembered driving to the Alma River Bridge between Appling and Bacon counties, where he took the 10-year-old to a boat ramp and had sexually assaulted her while her younger sister saw. After the rape, the sobbing victim asked him to get rid of the gun because it was scaring them, so he tossed it in the Alma River where it was never found. He abandoned the girls on a remote road and drove back to his mother's house. Sweet said, although at times Hitler had laughed or cried, he was relatively unaffected by what he had done. He understood what he was saying. We had all the range of emotions, but the gravity of what he had done, he was indifferent to that. For the most inept, cruelest massacre that ever happened in Toombs County history, death penalty specialist Mike Garrett, the most brilliant and sought after attorney in Augusta, and public defender Kathy Palmer of Swainsboro were brought in for the trial. Plan of operation would be for the defense attorneys to file a notice of intent to present evidence of mental health issues. After talking with Heidler, Garrett told reporters he's physically sick and mentally disturbed. The defense immediately filed for a change of venue. Garrett and Heidler would be tried far away from the graveyard and blood-spattered house where people still thought Santa Claus was a symbol of good fellowship and gift sharing. District Attorney Malone agreed that the gruesome trial should be held somewhere else. He said too many times Georgia's Supreme Court overturned death penalty cases from rural counties where cases were grossly overpublicized. Meanwhile, on Tuesday, July 6, 1999, while awaiting trial, Heidler escaped with tracking dogs and helicopters on his heels. News flashes across Georgia said anyone who crossed paths with the 20-year-old escaped convict were in extreme danger. Jailers searching his cell found 75 homemade weapons that he made from unscrewing wire cages and smoke and fire alarms in his cell. They said he would routinely threaten to kill jailers and other inmates who preferred to give him a wide berth. However, in his escape, he didn't get very far. He was quickly captured and returned for trial. The trial opened before a jury of 7 men and 5 women on August 30th, 1999, in Judge Walter McMillan Walton's County Courthouse. Prosecutor Malone said he would seek the death penalty, and Heidler's defense team chose to seek pity from the jurors by using mental illness defense. In his opening statement, Prosecutor Malone painted a bizarre picture of the suspect. He said he was arrested in May for breaking into Taylor's Treasures and stealing porcelain dolls, Nintendo games, and knives. A young mother testified that she had hired Hitler to babysit her 3 children in exchange for a room in her home. She said he was good with her children and she couldn't have managed without his help. She described him as a quiet person, a regular couch potato who seldom went anywhere and worked on her car. As for his mental level, she said he was like a teenager in a 20-year-old body. I've seen him go out looking for jobs and no one would hire him. I can't believe this is happening. A neighbor who lived next to the Heidlers on 12th Street in Elma said that the family had lived there for 2 months. They moved from a government housing project on Mill Street and had no money. In the days that followed, jurors heard from one side or the other about Heidler's tough life or his refusal to accept authority. Born June 9th, 1997, he became a high school dropout in the 10th grade. He never worked because soil rhymes with toil. He never owned a car. He never lived in a place that he could call his own. And any money he ever had was mooched from somebody else. Despite his unseeming lifestyle, he was never arrested for violent crimes. Aside from burglarizing Taylor treasures, he stole a Kawasaki four-wheeler from a garage in South Church Street and was currently facing felony accounts in Alma. He was newly on probation in both Toombs and Bacon counties for driving while intoxicated. That was the extent of his criminal record. Several of the Daniels neighbors testified about gathering in their yards and watched police cars, media vans, and dishes on top, and more strange cars than they had ever seen driving up Dasher Street towards the crime scene. They spoke of the good times they had fishing in the Daniels pond and picking grapes from their vineyard. They were God-fearing people, one neighbor told the court. They were a storybook family. They took children nobody else wanted and gave them a decent home. County Sheriff Durst testified in his talks with Heidler. His only explanation is that he doesn't know why he did it. He said a dive team that searched the 29-foot deep Almana River failed to find the murder weapon that Heidler had tossed off the bridge from Highway 1. A defense witness testified that in Heidler's hometown of Alma, 30 miles away from the crime scene, he had enhanced his reputation as the oddball from a family who moved from one place to another like gypsies. He said Heidler had spent time in foster care homes, but eventually had to be placed in a special treatment state-like school because of his emotional problems. Garrett, however, was unable to sway the jury, who, after wrestling with the indecision for all of 20 minutes, found the mass murderer guilty on Friday, September 3rd of 1999. The penalty phase took less than 2 hours, and this time they invoked the death penalty. Sickly, scrawny Heidler sniffed and wiped his nose on his shirt as the 4 death sentences were pronounced. Judge Walter McMillan handed him an additional 2 life sentences plus 110 years on 3 counts of kidnapping, the 3 Daniels children, and 3 counts of sodomy and child molestation and 1 of burglary. The remaining Daniels children have been placed with relatives. Using mythology almost routine in a case of murder, the Toombs County Sheriff's Department and the GBI had been able to get to the bottom of the matter, thus ensuring that justice had been done. So, good news is, court won. He's still sitting in jail for the death penalty. He is not getting out anytime soon. And they know he did it. And besides terrorizing the one girl, the other children are still alive. They're with family. They're not in the foster care system. So at least there's that. Now, he tried to appeal a lot of the issues from juror selection to saying that the rape wasn't rape to saying everything. So this guy is just a complete scumbag. And anyways, all of his appeals had failed in the court system, and the courts basically told him to eat dirt and pound sand. So he is just awaiting his death penalty now.
Is there a date already set, or is it more just like a place in line?
I believe just a place in line.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how the death penalty system works. I'm not necessarily for the death penalty, but this guy pretty much deserves it, in my opinion.
Very much. However, all those kids that were there are definitely adults now.
Yep.
So, I don't know.
I hope I know that they were probably really messed up, but I really hope that they are doing okay.
Yeah. Though, I don't know. The phrase violence begets violence comes to mind, and I'm concerned about that.
I know, but at least they were placed with other family members and not put back into the system. That's the only saving grace that I found, I guess.
Yeah. Still though.
Yeah. But yeah, no, just reading through what he all tried to appeal, with the juror selection, with his actual charges and everything. I'm just the gall of this guy. I'm just astounded by. I'm not gonna go into it just because the terms and the actual readings get a little lengthy, but
Yeah, but like that assessment of like a teenager in an adult's body seems,
Pretty accurate.
I'd say, yeah,
Oh, the one
that's
thing
terrible.
though that he did contest that sometimes does like go one way or another is during the trial they showed the videotape of the crime scene, and he said that was inflammatory and everything, but the judge told him like no, it's the crime scene, they're showing evidence, like it's
Hmm.
fine, and like you did this to them, like they didn't change or edit the scene in any way, so that was
Hmm.
like the only like decent argument he had basically in any of his appeals.
So like showing him what he did was a way to get a response out of him by the
They were
court? Was it the
showing
appeal?
evidence, so like they were showing the videotape
Yeah, but like is
of the crime scene, and he just said that was inflammatory, like because like officers as they're going through, they explain like who's lying here, what had happened, that whole
oh,
thing. So like that sometimes does get thrown out, but it was part of the evidence, so they just said told him to eat dirt.
why would that get thrown out if
Because
it's
sometimes what
evidence?
the cops say and like how it's presented is kind of aggravating or like probing for
Oh,
emotions. So like that's
oh, so essentially, like he was trying to say that that was like a way to make him seem more guilty
yeah.
or something
Yeah.
because it would make him angry.
Yep. So really that was the only valid argument in my opinion that
But
he had, but that was
it was
about it.
evidence, so.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, talking about the rape and sodomy of the child, that was consensual, or like him trying to like get that
No,
lessened. Not like
there's
that it was consensual, but yeah.
yeah, that there's no,
I mean, she's a
no,
child.
yeah, that's just so much no.
So much. So, well, everyone, that was Santa Claus Georgia, and while it's kind of festive themed, it was really not that happy of a story, but
No.
that murder one,
And what
yeah.
time of year did that take place?
Christmas time, December 4th.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, it's
Yep.
kind of hoping it wasn't, but okay.
Yeah, no, so like everything was all like decked out in Christmas stuff too, and I mean it's Santa Claus, Georgia. Of course it's
Santa Claus is a dangerous old town.
yeah.
Uh,
But that was the first mass murder that happened there, and then there's another one that happened a couple years later. So they were not really on a good track.
wow,
Yeah.
that is not good.
No.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I mean, that's all I really have on that. He's still, in the Georgia State Prison awaiting his death penalty to be carried
Hmm.
out. But yeah, I hope that the kids are okay, and um, I'm gonna be covering some a little bit more cheery topics the next couple of cases. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Should I take us out then?
yeah,
Alrighty. Well, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. Give us 5 stars to share all these stories with those you find would love to hear them, and leave a suggestion for other topics as a comment or things you liked, things you didn't know, how your day was. That'd be fine. We could take comments about that. That'd be cool. And if you'd like to email us directly, you can do so at violentvice@gmail.com, and you can do a one-time donation on PayPal with the same address as that. If you want to follow us on social medias, you can do so on Facebook and Instagram at Violent Vice Podcast. Leave a like, all those fun things. I don't know much about Instagram, but it should be pretty cool with that. Or if you just want to give us a quick tweet, you can do so at Violent Vice, or support us on Patreon at patreon.com/violentvice. There's no ampersands in any of these. All of it's straight spelled out because we're bumpkins and ampersands are a weird thing to try to write.
no ampersands here. I'll put it on a T-shirt.
Oh, I love it. But that's all we have, I guess. Oh,
Well, we hope you guys had a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas or whatever kind of holiday you celebrate, and we'll see you guys next week.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We
Happy
hope
New
to hear
Year,
from you
too.
again. Oh, yes. That's coming up. Yay, 2021.
Yay!
Hooray. Well, we'll see you later. Goodbye.
Bye! Thank you for listening to Violin Vice. Cover art is by Audi Griffith. Music by Annabelle Revac. If you want to help support the show, please visit patreon.com/violinvice or give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to. This helps us move up the charts and also helps keep the spooky stories coming. Thank you.